Hey, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Really happy to see you all here today, my practice builders. And welcome to those who are listening live, as well as those who are going to listen to the recording. Really appreciate your time today. And today we have a really important topic to talk about. And it is super important, especially because right about now, what I'm hearing is, gosh, you're tempted. We're kind of all tempted in some ways just to kind of pull the covers over your head and avoid marketing during this pandemic. So what we're going to talk about today, I'm actually going to share some actionable strategies that you can begin to take as soon as possible, like even today. 5 strategies to keep your practice afloat during a pandemic. And again, I think it's especially important now because, as I mentioned, many of us, this quarantining is maybe starting to grow a little old, if you will. And so anyway, I'm really looking forward to sharing this. So as I've said before, my primary wish is that you and yours are staying safe, staying healthy, and that you're really taking good care of yourselves. Of course, that's of primary concern. Many of you, I recognize, are not only running a business, but you're also probably homeschooling. If you've got kids at home. You're now like juggling all kinds of responsibilities, and I know it can be really challenging. Many of you are not only running a business, but you've got the kids, you're homeschooling. Some of you've got college kids at home, so you've got a lot going on, right? And so you're wearing all kinds of hats, and I know that can be really challenging. So I really hope that you're taking some time to make yourself a priority and really making your own self-care a priority. So talk to me. I'd love to know. Comment in the chat. What are you doing for yourself in terms of self-care during the quarantine? Are you doing anything special for yourself? I'd love to hear from you. Even if you're listening to the recording, go ahead. I respond to every single comment. So just give me a heads up. Let me know what you're up to, how you're taking good care of yourself during the quarantine. All right, guys. So again, welcome, practice builders. Today, I'm going to share 5 ways to keep your practice afloat during a pandemic. And we're also going to touch on some other topics, including why clients need you more now than ever, and surprisingly, are still purchasing services. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about the ins and outs of creating a successful virtual practice without sacrificing quality. So I'm going to share a few tips there as well. For those of you that don't know me, welcome. I'm so thrilled to have you. My name is Lesli Bitel, and I'm a business coach and mentor for dietitians and integrative functional health professionals. And in the work that I do, I help health professionals in private practice to overcome, all that confusion, that sense of overwhelm with the business side of building a thriving and profitable practice. And really my end goal is for you to be able to make a great living doing the work that you're meant to do and the work that you love. All right, everybody, so let's jump in. Again, I'm going to be sharing 5 ways to keep your practice afloat during a pandemic, and we're going to kind of delve into a few subtopics today as well. So let's do a reality check here, all right? Needless to say, many people out there are extremely stressed and definitely preoccupied. We've got, again, working moms that are now homeschooling their kids and trying to juggle their jobs. A lot of people have lost their jobs and been really devastated from a financial perspective with the pandemic. They've lost income, and there's a lot of fear, really fear of the unknown, and just feelings of, being out of control, right? Definitely a lot of stress eating going on, and certainly this is going to cause exacerbations of their underlying disease, right? Underlying symptoms, IBS, migraines, pain syndromes, autoimmune, not to mention weight gain. So we know that these underlying diseases or illnesses, we know that people are at a much higher risk of complications with COVID-19 if they have these comorbidities or even with obesity, right? So bottom line is truly people need your help more than ever. And the thing that I want to share with you this is actually tip number one, is the reality is people do need your services more than ever. It is very true that there are some people struggling financially, without a doubt. But I want you to know that there are still people out there that have jobs and really are not financially impacted by the pandemic, and they are seeking services. So, in some cases, what I'm hearing is that, some people are thinking, gosh, there's never been a better time to really buckle down and take care of my health. So tip number one, please do not buy into the mindset that people aren't buying. Okay, because it really is not true. Case in point, I can share, oh my gosh, I can share multiple situations. Some of you know that I have a Six-Figure Biz Academy 6-month course running right now, and I've got several success stories coming right from that course. One of my clients yesterday, who specializes in working with people that are struggling with severe GI issues, said she booked 2 new people into her 6-month program, right? And this was just yesterday. Another one in that group booked 4 new clients into her 3-month program. Another really interesting story that I wanted to share with you is, again, one of my clients in the Six-Figure Biz Academy, she had mentioned that she had a client that wanted to put a pause on her program. And interestingly, instead of buying into that and just saying, okay, and kind of acquiescing, what she ended up doing was having a quick conversation with the person on the phone, and basically really just approached it from a sense of curiosity. Asked her what she thought would happen if she paused her program. And apparently the client said, gosh, actually, come to think of it, I really think that I will backslide. I'm going to be stuck, really in this emotional eating cycle. So even though this person is definitely distracted right now and trying to juggle a whole bunch of things, she decided on her own that the best decision would be to stick to the program. So I think it's a really good illustration of, people are distracted for sure. But I do think if we can adjust your visibility and really increase that, and maybe adjust your messaging, and we're going to talk about all those things today, that people do need your help and they are buying. So I don't want you to buy into that mindset. There are definitely fewer people, again, because we're kind of unfortunately dealing with a situation where, people are impacted, but it's not everybody. All right. So I really want to be clear about that. There are people buying. So don't buy into that mindset that no one is buying right now, because it just isn't true. All right. So let's move on to the second strategy. And that is how does one market during a crisis? All right. So I think the first step that we want to really consider is, how do we reframe marketing? All right. Because let's face it, marketing in the best of times can feel a little unsavory, to say the least, for many of us, right? So marketing can feel yucky, even in the best of times. And especially now with the world kind of upside down with everything going on, I do want to say that there's never been a better time than now to make it known that you have a solution. And we're going to talk more about that. If people don't know that you exist, they don't know that there's a solution for their problems. And so what I'm going to suggest here is that first and foremost, I really want to encourage everyone to kind of reframe our feelings about marketing in the first place. So here's a thought. So in terms of kind of reinventing really our thoughts about marketing and sales in general, rather than viewing it as, yucky and kind of a necessary evil, here's what I'm going to propose. Let's try this on. Instead of marketing being really, again, unsavory and yucky, how about this? Marketing is just my sharing of my enthusiasm and the good news that people don't have to be stuck, and that I'm simply honored to be a part of bringing people this life-changing solution. How does that feel? I'll bet that feels a lot better, right? So basically, instead of viewing it as, again, just yucky, how about if we shift our mindset and instead, really all marketing is is sharing your enthusiasm with people about what you do and letting them know that there's a solution for the thing that they're struggling with. If they don't know, then they don't know there's a solution and they continue to struggle. So I almost feel like marketing is kind of an obligation in a sense, if you think of it that way. Because seriously, especially with the work that many of you do, people just don't know, right? They just don't know. So I think our job is to approach marketing really from an educational standpoint. All right, and letting people know they don't have to continue to struggle and suffer. All right, so in terms of our marketing messaging, let's move into that. So I do agree that right now, it is a very unique time, to say the least, right? And I do think that we can effectively tweak our marketing messages. And I think that's really important because the thing is, we don't want to come across as, tone deaf, right? Like we're insensitive to what's going on. So definitely tip number 3 is to tweak your messaging, okay? And I'm going to give you a few ideas on how to go about this. I'd say the first thing to consider is, you want your messaging to really touch on emotion, right? The emotion of what's happening right now in the world, how that's impacting people. So really the essence of great marketing, even in normal times, I believe empathy truly is the core of your marketing message. And I would say especially during a pandemic. So we want to touch on emotions. We want to be real. We want to acknowledge what's happening. And we want to be very empathic in our messaging, right? So those are really important factors, when considering how to shift your messaging so it lands more powerfully for your ideal client. And many of you know that I talk a lot about, tweaking your messaging so that you are really coming across as a practitioner that knows how to solve certain problems. That is super, super important. So really a good take home or takeaway, I guess, little homework assignment, if you will, would be sit down and identify, just make sure you're clear on who it is you're targeting, who it is you want to work with, who is your ideal client, and make a list of the problems, struggles, and challenges that you can help people to overcome. And then if you want to take it even a step further, what I would recommend is that you make a second column actually, listing some of the results and outcomes that you can help people to achieve, all right? And if you can come up with those 3 things, again, the who it is you're targeting, the problems you solve, and the results you help people to achieve, that is really the core of your marketing. And you can see how that ties very much into empathy, right? Because we're looking at things from your client's perspective, not your clinical eye. And that's really super important. All right, so now let's move on and talk about marketing. And, we're talking digital marketing. So let's start this segment. This is the 4th strategy. And really what I want to do is just talk a little bit about how you can increase your visibility, how you can consistently strive to increase your visibility. Again, my hope is that you do it through serving and educating, right? So there's a few key words in the sentence I just said. Number 1 is increasing your visibility. Now is definitely the time to really think about how you can just be more visible, be more approachable, be more present for your target market. And I'm going to share some ideas in just a moment. Before I do that, though, I really want you to think about what can you do consistently, all right? So what I'm suggesting here is that we pick a couple of marketing strategies, maybe pick some things, maybe 1 or 2 things, maybe just one thing. That would be great. Just pick one thing that you've been wanting to do, you've been kind of thinking about doing, but you just haven't done yet. Maybe you just haven't had time, you haven't had the space, or maybe you just weren't sure how to do it. So the thing that's really important is that we need to be consistent. So whatever marketing strategy we pick, we need to do it. We need to show up consistently because of, the ultimate reason is we want to develop a sense of trust with our audience, right? We want to develop that know, like, and trust. And by showing up on a consistent basis, you're able to move people through that process of, them finding you and really kind of being a cold lead. They don't know anything about you. Then you kind of pique their interest, right? And it's this process by which they eventually are like, wow, I really like what you're doing. I like what you're about. And I'm really curious. I'm going to reach out and see how you can help me, right? So the way we do that is, again, we can do it through digital marketing by consistently striving to increase your visibility through serving and educating, all right? And all right, so now let's talk about how you might market online during a crisis, all right? So I know this is kind of a huge topic in of itself, but I just want to share a few ideas that you might consider implementing. Again, pick something that you can do consistently. That is really the most important thing. So, okay, the first thing I recommend, especially because most of you are moving into a virtual platform at this point, definitely get the word out, over communicate that you are offering virtual services. All right, that's super important. We're going to talk a little bit more about that segue into virtual services in just a few minutes. But definitely you want that all over the place, on your website, social media. You want to let people know, even on your online directory listings, you want to let people know that you are seeing clients, albeit online. All right. Another tip would be to update, really utilize online directory listings and update them. So I've looked at a lot of online directory listings, specifically a lot of my clients tend to use healthprofs.com or Psychology Today, and those are great directory listings. So what I would suggest, just to kind of spruce it up, update it a little bit. Well, first of all, I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but with Health Profs, you can actually upload, I think it's around 13 to 15 JPEG images to your profile. And it's really valuable space, right? Real valuable real estate there. So what I'm suggesting is that you, actually what you could do, what's a great use of that space, would be to go into Canva, canva.com. They have a free version. And what I would do is I would create some quote cards, and specifically quote cards containing some client testimonials, all right? And you can create these nice little quote cards, and then I would upload those to your directory listing in that photo area. I think that's a really good use of space there. And, just integrating social proof into your marketing is super important. Now, please know that you definitely want to get permission from your clients, right? You want to get that in writing. So I'm going to trust that you are going to take care of the legalities there and just make sure everything is buttoned up in terms of, getting permission and saving that and really being clear on what you can and can't do in your state. But otherwise, using testimonials and integrating social proof into your marketing is really, really effective. I mean, think about it. When is the last time you bought anything on Amazon without looking at the reviews? Like never, right? We all look at reviews now. So it is really effective and super important. So that could be a strategy that you begin to implement, during this time, updating your directory listings, integrating testimonials. If you don't have testimonials, I think it's a great time to start putting those together. All right. Another idea in terms of online marketing during a crisis, I would, if you don't already have like a website freebie or lead magnet, now would be a great time to create one. And the whole idea is to really leverage email marketing and to grow your email list. So it's a really good idea. It's super important. It's a very valuable asset inside of your business. So if you don't have, a website freebie or lead magnet, as it's sometimes called, or maybe you have one, but it feels a little dated, it's not super compelling, I'd say now would be a great time to update that. So one of my clients mentioned to me that she created a new lead magnet, and it's doing really well. I think it was like a week's meal plans. Let's see, what did she call it? Anti-inflammatory 1 week meal plan using non-perishables. Oh my gosh, it's doing fantastically well. So you want to think about updating that if it's not doing very well, or just updating it to be more in tune with what's happening right now. All right. Another thing is, doing regular newsletters. That's a really good idea because these are additional touch points that we can have with our audience. Again, keeping in touch, staying top of mind, and continuing to develop that relationship with them. So email marketing through a regular newsletter, highly recommended and very effective. Some other things that you could do. It's a great time if you haven't done any live video yourself. It would be a great time to start. Truly, I'll what I'll do is I'll do a whole separate live on how to do that if you haven't started. But I just want to plant the seed today, right? Because it's a great strategy and video is very, very effective. All right, so those are some ideas that, one other idea that I did want to share with you. If you've thought about doing paid ads like Facebook ads or Instagram ads, but maybe you didn't do it because of the cost, I just wanted to share with you in terms of another online kind of digital marketing strategy. Ad costs are down now. So if you did kind of want to dip your toe into paid ads, now would be a great time to do that just because ad costs are down. So that could be a really nice opportunity. All right, so now what I want to do is I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about how to seamlessly move into telehealth. Okay, now this is a really big topic. Like I could do an entire presentation just on this process. But I just wanted to share a few tips with you on this because I know that many of you are kind of being forced to move to an online platform to provide your services. So just wanted to share a few ideas that I have in terms of, how to really make that a seamless move for you. And really important, how to help your clients really get used to the idea, because that's ultimately really important. I think many practitioners are going to be okay with it. And in fact, my guess is that this is going to be the new normal. So it really is a great time to completely embrace telehealth. And it is actually an exciting development. Truth be known, there's so many advantages. You're able to, I'd say the biggest advantage, well, certainly it's going to save you time without a doubt. You are able to expand your reach dramatically, even if you're a licensed practitioner and you don't want to cross state lines. Completely understandable. Instead of like a brick and mortar type of practice where for the most part you're looking at a 40-mile radius, right? In terms of clients that actually come to see you, maybe in some cases, a bigger radius, but still you are able to expand that reach throughout your entire state. And in some cases, even beyond your state, right? Depending on, specific state licensure laws. So it really is great, time saving, money saving for sure, right? If you can, eliminate that rent bill, that's going to be huge. And then you're going to be able to expand your reach. So there's a lot of really great advantages. And there's also advantages for your clients too. I mean, it really is convenient. So let me just share a few thoughts that I have in terms of helping you to make this transition. So first, I do want to share that many insurance companies are reimbursing for telenutrition and telehealth. So, I would say in general, the regulations have really loosened up. Insurance companies are paying. Definitely double check with your carriers, but it really is a good time in terms of reimbursement on the telehealth platforms. And historically, that was kind of the disadvantage, right? If you were a provider that did not take, or, if you were an insurance provider, a lot of times you had to see your clients in person in order to get reimbursed. So that is really changing right now. So that's a really nice advantage. All right, so I do recommend, in terms of moving forward, if you haven't done so already, I would say just pick a HIPAA compliant platform and get yourself organized. I would just invest some time, picking a platform. There are free platforms available, and there are also some paid platforms that are much more all-encompassing in terms of what they provide, like a full-on EMR type of platform. So, you decide. In terms of a free telehealth platform, I can vouch for one, and that is called doxy.me, DOXY.me. And I have used this platform from a patient perspective. And so, kind of from the user side, the patient user side, I can definitely say it was very streamlined, very, very professional, and really highly recommend it. So if you're looking for something free, then doxy.me could be a great choice. Of course, there's lots of great paid ones. There's Healthy, there's Practice Better, and some other ones that you can look into that, again, provide multiple solutions all in one application. All right. Bottom line, if you haven't done so, just pick one. Don't, overthink it. Just kind of pick one and go with it and get yourself organized. I know, especially if you're going to pick a paid platform, you're going to have to spend a little time uploading forms and, uploading your handouts and your educational materials and that kind of thing. Just spend a little time and just kind of check that off your list. I would say just pick one and move on and try to get yourself organized. And I think I mentioned that, the regulations are really loosened right now during this COVID-19 pandemic. So, things are not as strict. If you end up picking a non-HIPAA compliant platform, it's not the end of the world right now. Just want you to know that. So all of these licensure, crossing state lines, and, HIPAA compliant, all those regulations are definitely loosened at this point in time. So in terms of kind of streamlining the process, and, I already talked about over communicating. I think that's really important in terms of, helping your clients get comfortable with telehealth. So tip one is increase your communication efforts, without a doubt. That is definitely going to help you and help your clients to get more comfortable. So I think that probably what I would do if I were in your situation, I think what I would probably do, because a lot of times, especially the older folks, they're a little nervous. Like I can say, like my mother is 76 and a half, and she used doxy.me. She saw a doctor through that platform, and I know she was really super nervous. Like, oh my God, what if it doesn't work? Very nervous. So what was very helpful in that case was for her to have a backup plan. So make sure your clients have a backup plan. You guys exchange phone numbers in case, the telehealth platform, in case that just falls apart and here, your client can't get on the platform for whatever reason. Have a backup plan, via telephone, so that, the person's not too anxious if things don't, go as planned. And then the other thing I think I would do, I think it would be really great to create a little how-to video. Maybe use an application like Loom, Loom, which is a free application, and you can, it's like you can do like it's almost like a screen share, and you can kind of talk your client through you accessing the platform. And so I'd probably upload that to my website. I think I would probably provide that like in my, in my emails where I'm confirming their appointment. So I would really make that very visible, just so people, I think the biggest thing is the comfort. And especially if your clients are a little bit older, we want to just help them to feel really, really comfortable. All right. So those are a couple tips there. Now, the other thing I want to share, kind of the third thing in this category, is that I think one of the things that could be a deterrent, and this is from my own personal experience when I had my practice, sometimes clients are worried that it's not going to be as effective as seeing you in person. So I think it's important to kind of talk them through that potential objection. Like, you might not even know that's what they're really thinking. So I would just ask them if they're hesitant to do, this telehealth platform with you, or, have your sessions on a online platform. I would just try to understand why, what is their concern? And if they're not sure, I would just ask them, is it because you're worried? Like, are you worried that it's not going to be as effective? And I'll bet that a lot of people say, you know what, I am kind of worried about that. So what I would do there, I would try to reassure them. I have seen some studies online that compare telehealth, specifically around diabetes versus in-person MNT. And it looks like they're very comparable in terms of outcomes. I know many years ago when I had my private practice, I used to refer to a study that compared in-person MNT versus telephonic, believe it or not. And they found that those two groups in terms of outcomes were not statistically significant in terms of difference. So I used to just let people know that, there have been studies done, and really there's not a significant difference in terms of the results that you get. What's more important is that, that you actually show up. Like, that truly is more important than how you see your client. It's that consistency of showing up, that sense of accountability, and, that support and hand holding. And so even in the best of times, I say, let's face it, I think telehealth really has a place because people are really busy. And, if it's difficult for them to actually drive to your office and show up, that is not going to help anyone. So bottom line is this: increase your communication efforts with your clients, really support them, especially the ones that are a little anxious about having sessions online, and definitely talk to them. If you sense hesitancy, I would definitely talk to them and try to find out what's going on for them and really try to reassure them. All right. So those are my 5 tips for today. Let's do a quick review. All right. So first, we talked about really having that mind shift. Really, the first 2 strategies are about mind shift changes. And number 1 is that people actually buying. They are buying. Perhaps fewer people in the buying pool, but nonetheless, people definitely need your help. And let me tell you, when this is all over with, oh my goodness, people are definitely going to need your help more than ever. So be ready for that. Just please, if you catch yourself saying nobody's buying, it's really not true. Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2, how to market in a pandemic or in a crisis. I think it's really important to reframe our relationship with marketing and really remind ourselves that it's almost like our responsibility to let people know that there is a solution for their challenges. If they don't know you exist, they don't know there's a solution out there for their struggles and challenges and their health issues, then that's a problem, right? So I urge you to approach marketing from that perspective. Shift number 2, in terms of your messaging, it's really about integrating feelings, vulnerability, and empathy into your message, right? We don't want to come across as, tone deaf with what's going on. So definitely you want to acknowledge what's going on and the hardships that people are having, but you still want to get your message out there, all right? Number 4 is really about consistency. So I shared several tips with you, or several ideas in terms of, some specific marketing that you could start to do, specifically digital marketing. So what I recommend there is just pick one thing that you feel like you can do, and you're actually going to show up and do it on a regular basis, because consistency really matters. And then we talked about telehealth, and I just shared some tips in terms of how to kind of pave the way to make your transition over to telehealth much smoother, and definitely making it easier for your clients, right? So I shared some tips there. Specifically, it's, increase your communication, do a lot of hand holding, give a lot of reassurance, and let your clients know that in terms of efficacy and outcomes, the most important thing is not so much how they see you, but that they are seeing you on a consistent and regular basis. All right. So, all right, guys, I am going to take a peek at, okay. All right. I'm going to take a peek at the, oh, Misty. Hi, Misty. I'm looking at your comments, and it's good to see you, Michelle. Meditation, listening to music, says Shelly. Stefani, more yoga. Oh, good. Yoga is awesome. Okay. Oh, and Michelle says she would love to know how to do a live. And Misty says hello. I don't know who, I'm not sure the last person that said hi to me, but hi. All right, guys. So I think what I'll do is, I think it would be a really good topic to talk about how to actually do a Facebook Live, just to help you guys get started. All right. So be on the lookout for that. In the meantime, I hope you have a great rest of your day and stay safe. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.